U.S. sent a fighter jet carrying warship to join drills near the disputed Scarborough Shoal for the first time, sending a pointed message to China as tensions simmer over territorial claims in the region. In the latest show of military muscle in the South China Sea, the U.S. has apparently sailed its USS Wasp amphibious assault ship near a strategic reef claimed by Beijing in Manila that lies just 230 kilometers, 140 miles, from the Philippine coast. Filipino fishermen near the site known as the Scarborough Shoal initially spotted what appeared to be the massive U.S. vessel on Tuesday, according to ABS-CBN News. It said planes were seen landing and taking off from the ship, some 5 kilometers, 3 miles, away from the fisherman's boat. A video clip shown by the news network appeared to corroborate their account. U.S. military spokeswoman would not confirm or deny the Wasp's presence near the collection of outcroppings that barely jet out above water at high tide, citing force protection and security. However, the spokeswoman did confirm that the Wasp has been training with Philippine Navy ships in Subic Bay and in international waters of the South China Sea for several days. Scarborough Shoal, which is also claimed by Taiwan, is regarded as a potential powder keg in the strategic waterway. It was seized by Beijing in 2012 after an extended standoff with Manila. China later effectively blockaded the lagoon, which is rich in fish stocks, and routinely dispatches scores of fishing vessels and government-backed maritime militia ships to the area to continue its de facto blockade. The Wasp was taking part in the annual Balikatan U.S. Philippine military training exercise that focuses on maritime security and amphibious capabilities, as well as multinational interoperability through military exchanges, said U.S. Marine Corps Second Lieutenant Tori Sharp, a spokeswoman for the exercises, adding that the exercises were unrelated to current events. Still, beyond the location of the exercises, the Wasp's presence alone in the South China Sea was likely to draw Beijing's attention since this year's Balikatan exercise was the first to incorporate the Wasp paired with the U.S. Marine Corps' cutting-edge F-35B Lightning II stealth aircraft. The F-35B is the short takeoff and vertical landing variant of the aircraft. Together they represent an increase in military capability committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific, Sharp said. China covets Scarborough Shoal for its strategic significance, experts say, as it would be the crowning jewel in a bid to solidify Beijing's iron grip over the South China Sea. They say building at Scarborough would create a large strategic triangle comprising Woody Island and the Paracel Islands to the northwest and its Spratly Island outposts to the south, giving Beijing the ability to police an air defense identification zone, a DIZ, in the South China Sea. The impact of such a strategic triangle, which would bring the entire region under Chinese radar, missile and air coverage, would be tremendous for both the United States and Japan's strategic planning, some experts say, and could be a game-changer in regional power relations. But any decision by China to forcefully take over the collection of outcroppings for land reclamation purposes would likely be met with resistance by the U.S., the Philippines and others. In an effort to push back against China's behavior near Scarborough, the U.S. Navy sent a guided missile destroyer within 12 nautical miles, 22 km, of the site in January last year as part of its larger Freedom of Navigation Operations (FONOPS) program in the South China Sea and across the globe. Washington has lambasted Beijing for its moves in the South China Sea, including the construction of man-made islands, some of which are home to military-grade airfields and advanced weaponry. The U.S. fears the outposts could be used to restrict free movement in the waterway, which includes vital sea lanes through which about $3 trillion in global trade passes each year, and regularly conducts FONOPs in the area. The Wasp was taking part in the annual Balikatanas Philippine military training exercise that focuses on maritime security and amphibious capabilities, as well as multinational interoperability through military exchanges, said US Marine Corps Second Lieutenant Tori Sharp, a spokeswoman for the exercises. The Wasp's presence in the South China Sea is likely to draw Beijing's attention, since the exercise is the first to incorporate the Wasp paired with the U.S. Marine Corps' F-35B Lightning II stealth aircraft. Together they represent an increase in military capability committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific. Sharp said the US Navy sent a guided missile destroyer within 12 nautical miles, 22 km, of the site in January last year as part of its larger Freedom of Navigation Operations (FONOPS) program in the South China Sea and across the globe. The moves come as officials in Manila escalate protests over the presence of more than 200 Chinese ships near the Philippine-occupied South China Sea feature of the Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte has urged China to lay off the feature, saying he would order a military action. The U.S. has been seeking to firm up its treaty alliance with the strategically located Southeast Asian nation ever since Duterte was elected in 2016 and announced his separation from Washington in favor of Beijing. In March, US Secretary of State Michael Pompeo assured local officials during a visit to Manila that their treaty would apply to Philippine vessels or planes attacked in disputed waters. Philippine Foreign Affairs Secretary Teodoro Locsin said earlier this week that the U.S. would remain the country's only military ally. More than 7,000 soldiers from the Philippines and the U.S. are participating in Exercise Balikatan, according to General Benjamin Madrigal Jr., the Philippine military chief. The Combined Information Bureau for the Joint Military Drills said Tuesday that the USS Wasp has been training with Philippine Navy ships in Subic Bay and international waters of the South China Sea as part of the Exercise Balikatan for several days. The training is focused on maritime security and amphibious capabilities, as well as multinational interoperability through military exchanges, the Bureau said. This year's joint exercise was the first to incorporate the USS Wasp with the U.S. Marine Corps' F-35B Lightning II aircraft. Together they represent an increase in military capability committed to a free and open Indo-Pacific, the Bureau said. Participating in Balikatan demonstrates their ability to forward deploy in support of an ally should a crisis or natural disaster occur.